Man, what an iconic cutscene even 30 years later. Hey guys, it's Xeno back here. So, since the evaluation idea I had for Mega Man RAM went over so well last time, I decided maybe it was time to start, quote, evaluating or reviewing the classic Mega Man games. So I figured there's no better place to start with Mega Man 5. Probably my personal favorite, definitely not the best in terms of the gameplay, but I'm very fond of this game. It's very close to me, as you would probably expect. So let's just get right into it. There's actually a lot of stuff to discuss for this game. We're gonna go ahead and pick Starman first, not only because, he's our mascot, but also because this is probably the best place to start in the game in general. So, Mega Man 5 is a bit tricky. It has definitely the best physics of the NES game, because they fucked up the slide at Mega Man 6. This is really very fluid, the movement, the shooting, everything's on point here. But the mechanics of this game just have a lot of problems. Everyone knows about the Charge Buster. I'll probably have to go in more detail about this later, but based on how huge it is, and the fact that it does 3 damage, this should already give you a clue as to how busted it is. And this is compounded by the fact that the weapons in this game are like complete garbage for the most part. I think Gyro Man is the only one who has like an even remotely viable weapon, and like some of the others are just okay. But I'll get into it. So for now, at the beginning of Starman stage, there are these meteors, which I always found to be a really cool way to start the stage. It's super atmospheric. It's one of the things that causes me to have such a soft spot for this game in general. It's like really short, but it's something that you would expect to see in space. So, see, using the Charge Buster here, already you can see how easy it makes the game. Let me just use it, do nothing but Charge Buster for the next like 30 seconds, and you'll see this problem gets, exponentially worse. Everything is just getting nuked at this point. But one other quirk of the enemies in this game I figure I should mention now is that enemies with more than 1 HP have almost iframes, which isn't something that any other game in the series really does. Like, I think I can show this off in a second here. And I have to talk about that letter I just picked up as well. But let me see if I can find an enemy to show this off with. I think most of the enemies in the upcoming section have like 2 HP. I guess I'll talk about the letter now then. So what I just picked up on the previous screen is a beat letter. If you pause, you can check that there are 8 letters on the bottom of the screen that spell out Mega Man 5. If you collect all of them, there's 1 in each Robot Master stage. Then you unlock Beat, which is the first appearance of Beat, and he wrecks bosses in this game. He's actually really good to have for the first set of Fortress stages, so I'll be getting all the letters to show that off. So if you look carefully at these cannons when I shoot them, you'll see that they flash briefly. And this can become a problem with enemies that have like 3 HP or like 5 HP. Let me see if I can show it off with this mini-boss just shown. Yeah, look at how many shots. That enemy only has 5 HP, but I'm almost positive I fired like 5 or 6 shots, or 6 or 7 shots into that thing. And this screen is a little bit spammy. This screen doesn't have a background for some reason, and I'm pretty sure it's because they had to do some, something to make the tiles in this room move like this. And, I mean, that's okay. The level design in this stage is a bit weird. There are just, random one-off rooms, like the one room with the missiles, this room that has moving platforms, and, the 2 seconds of stage that has meteors in it, so, the stage design here isn't, very cohesive, but I really love the atmosphere, in this stage especially, and I think Wave Man also has really good atmosphere. You know, this stage feels like it's in space. It's very fresh and it's just neat. So here we have the big boy himself. He has a pretty awful pattern though. He just jumps around and once in a while he'll shoot off the Star Crash and it moves super slow. You almost have to try to get hit in this fight. As long as you stand like relatively far away from him and slide under, you know, you're not very likely to get hit unless you make a wrong step somewhere. And, you know, if you're using the Charge Buster, you're taking off 3 health every time, so the bosses in this game go down in no time. This weapon get music is pretty sweet though. And we got Star Crash and Super Arrow. So, Super Arrow, another interesting thing to talk about. Let's go in the weakest order, Gravity Man. So, the Super Arrow is this game's utility, and it's my favorite in terms of just how fun it is to use, because you can ride this thing. It's super fun to play around with. It would probably be more fun to play around with if it didn't drain so fast, like, look. And almost the entire bar is already gone, just from riding it for like 5 seconds. So that's a shame. The music in this stage is really good, and the graphics are pretty good as well. All the flashing stuff in the background. There's a lot of stuff I never noticed until I, you know, kind of looked closer, like the electrical stuff in the ground. All the little details you might not catch if you're just playing. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunity for this gravity gimmick. And for some reason this room has parallax. Like, I only noticed this, like, upon, like, my 30th playthrough. If you look at the background, it's just staying in the exact same place as Mega Man. It looks a little bit weird. Actually, those tiles in the bottom left are also, like, flashing depending on where I move, so this room is just weird all around. But, anyways, the stage has gravity gimmicks, as you're probably noticing right now, but they're really underutilized. Pretty much all you do is, like, you know, you go down, you go up, you go all around. Some ROM hacks, like, I think it was Rockman 5 Double Jumper and Rockman 5 Air Sliding that made a lot better use of this gimmick. And also, that's a bit of a dick move to have a spike pit over here. There's an even more egregious spike pit near the end of the stage that I'll be sure to show off as well. But, yeah, the one thing about this game is that unfortunately the stage design isn't, you know, mind-blowing. There's nothing that kind of makes you say, wow. A lot of the charm, for me, comes down to the way it's presented, like, the environments, the stages. I also find the graphics to be really nice overall, even if the stage design itself isn't, you know, the best thing. And, speaking of stage design, here's the big guy. I think this guy is called Power Muscler, if I remember correctly. He'll basically jump around. If you go under him, he'll rocket down super fast, and you need to slide to, get past him. It's kind of precise, and he's also a pain. I think he just took off 7 health. So yeah, if you get hit by him, not very fun. And here's the beat letter in this stage, M. One interesting little tidbit, if you want to know. The letters are in the order of the Robot Master's creations, like their numbers, DWNs. So like Gravity Man is the first one, so he's M, you can see on the screen. And then Starman is like the 5th one to be built, so he's the 5th letter. Just a neat little thing I noticed. It's always good to have little bits of consistency like that. So these little enemies on the ground, I think they're called Suzy G's, if I remember correctly. You can screw with like their orientation if you flip gravity enough times. They're supposed to always be on the same orientation as you, but let me see if I can get them to mess up. Yeah, okay, there you go. See, now it's on the ceiling while I'm on the floor. It seems like the programmers didn't like account properly for switching super fast. So if you switch like multiple times in a couple of frames, then they probably screw up. This ladder down here is also really glitchy for some reason. If you fall down, I'm holding up and right now, and Mega Man just does this weird twitching motion and tries to climb down the block to the left of it. And you can just do this infinitely. If I wasn't charging right now, I think it'd be making the landing sound over and over again. Let me try that. Yeah, you just kind of tweak here. It's a bit strange. So here's one of the probably worst spots, like probably one of the worst game design elements in the entire game, actually. This spike pit right here. This is such a douche move. If you're not holding right, you'll probably die. You'll probably die your first time here, in fact. So that's pretty stupid. But anyways, mediocre stage, good music. The gimmick definitely could have used a lot more polish, though. And unfortunately, Gravity Man, like many of the other bosses, is pretty easy. He has a set pattern that he always repeats. He goes up and down and shoots sometimes and tries to flip and stomp on you, but overall, he's pretty easy. Let's show off Star Crash. This is your run-of-the-mill shield. It's actually the best shield on the NES, despite being a terrible weapon overall, because, you know, when you have to compete with the likes of Skull Barrier, Plant Barrier, and Leaf Shield, you know, it's not very easy to be the quote-unquote best shield. So, properties of Star Crash, you can hold it. If you get hit by something while you're holding it, it subtracts 3 energy, and you can throw it to consume 2 energy. I forget if it deletes projectiles upon... Okay, yeah, it does delete projectiles, even if thrown. So, you know... pretty bad as a shield overall, because it disappears after 1 hit, and it's pretty weak, even if you throw it. So, a little disappointing. But, not the worst this game has to offer, not by a long shot. So here's Gravity Hold, another one of the game's kind of okay weapons. It's a screen nuke, 7 uses, pretty similar to Rain Flush, except less of a delay. And unfortunately, unlike the Rain Flush, even if you kill enemies with it, they don't drop any power-ups. They just float up into oblivion, kind of like the Windstorm effect from Mega Man 6. So, pros and cons of using it. Alright, Gyro Man now. Nice music again, and the propeller graphics on the bottom. There are a lot of little things to enjoy in this game. This elevator ride also, despite being kind of pointless, is a neat touch. There's another one later in the stage that has some actual challenge involved, but, you know. So, again, Charge Buster. You can even fire through these guys' shields if you get close enough, which is neat. But, you know, Charge Buster everything in the game, you'll have no problem, really. The only things you'll ever die from in this game are either falling down a pit or spikes, or... Because really, this game is pretty easy. It's probably one of the easiest games in the entire Mega Man franchise, if not the easiest. This neat little life grab down here. Oh god. These things are kind of a pain in the ass. This placement is pretty stupid, because no matter what, you'll probably end up scrolling them off. And then these spinning platforms just carry you across the stage. They're pretty cool. Nice, some energy. This screen, I've always found to be a bit weird. It's, like, I don't understand the point of the split paths. It's just kind of a nothing screen. Then another one of these. This section is probably the hardest of the stage. You got these falling enemies that will try and crush you. They can be a little obnoxious. this letter grab... Alright, nice. Sometimes I fail that just by virtue of not jumping early enough. So now here's another elevator section, except it's like a rising spike pit almost. This is pretty interesting, honestly. And that jump I just made can be kind of tricky. That part is actually, you know, somewhat challenging. It takes a while to get good at it, but, you know. And then the rest of the stage is just kind of spamming these enemies. Again, kind of a mediocre execution of an idea that's, you know, interesting. Gyros and stuff. It's kind of an overarching problem with Mega Man 5 in general, not having very interesting stage design, just kind of hallways of enemies, small little set pieces that are kind of interesting, but, you know. Anyways, Gyro Man, probably the second hardest boss in the game. His gyros actually pack a punch. I think these things do 6 damage or 4. I think that's 6. So yeah, they're meaty, alright. But he's weak to the gravity hold, so if you have it, you can just stand far away from him and slowly spam him to death. You can even hit him if he's in the clouds. And since he spends so much of the battle far away from you, this is a really good weakness choice, if you ask me. This is the kind of thing I was referring to in the RAM evaluation, like, the weapon should always be something that the boss, you know, is weak to, meaning that it's something that the boss is susceptible to, you know? And this weakness even kind of makes sense from a physics standpoint, because if you increase the gravity on a propeller, it'll probably fall to the ground. A few of Mega Man 5's weaknesses make sense. Some of them are just kind of random, like this next weakness in the chain, Gyro on Crystal. I don't really understand that one, but some of the other ones, like Crystal on Napalm, plugging up the cannon on his head, some of them are pretty creative. And Gyro Man gives you Rush Jet. Oh yeah, the Rush utilities. Definitely need to talk about those. They've been seriously overhauled since Mega Man 4, especially Coil. So here's the deal with Rush Coil. In the previous games, Rush would just stand there and you'd bounce on him and that'd be it. But in this game, you jump on his back and you can jump again. I don't really know if I like this. You can glitch him out basically just like this. If you jump inside of him, he jumps and you don't really benefit because you're just doing a normal jump. So you have to be outside of him and jump on top. And then you can jump off. It's a bit finicky. Definitely not the best programmed thing in the game, but I don't find this, you know, as bad as some other people say it is. The distance you get from jumping off of him at the max height is actually, I think, almost identical, or even a bit higher than Mega Man 3 or Mega Man 4, so really not a big deal to me. Some other people make a fuss about it. And Rush Jet has been mostly unchanged. Yeah, you can still slow him down. Yeah, he's pretty much the same as he was in Mega Man 4, so nothing wrong here. I'll talk about this enemy you just saw more on the next screen, because there's one here as well. So these guys are kind of funny. If you shoot the head, they die, but if you shoot the bottom, the head bounces around like this and becomes an obstacle. So that's a funny, you know, enemy design. Now for the crystal shoots. These are really obnoxious. Any player of Mega Man 5 remembers this part. It's like, there's no telegraph for these, you just get knocked into the pit. This is what you want Star Crash for, or at least that's what a lot of people say when they're first playing this game. You can actually clear this pretty easily if you just jump immediately after the crystals fall. Let me see if I can show that off without screwing myself over. Yeah, if you just jump right after the crystal falls, I think you're okay. Yeah, it looks like that worked. Except you kind of have to proceed more quickly than you would otherwise. Here's Eddie. You can still manipulate him into giving you the item you want. He drops E-tanks, weapon energy, health. Usually you want to get an E-tank, because for some reason E-tanks are really sparse in this game. There are only like 3 Robot Master stages that even contain them. I've always found that to be a weird element of this game. But anyways, the rest of the stage pretty standard. So you got the rest. So you got these Crystal Joes firing off crystals. Thematically appropriate. Pretty cool. Let me show off gravity hold on a normal enemy. Oh, they're invincible. There we go. See, they flip upside down. They don't drop anything. So, kind of disappointing. I don't feel like timing those. And you probably noticed, you can slow that footage down maybe, but if you have a look there, I think I passed through a crystal, and that tends to happen for some reason if you use Star Crash on these. You just pass through the crystals sometimes. Now you got this enemy, which shoots stuff, but this is okay as an introductory placement, I guess, but it's really pointless since you can just kill it like that, and it won't really do anything to you. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but I really like the graphics in this stage as well. The flashing is highly reminiscent of, like, Gemini Man, for instance, and I think Chill Man later used the same, like, graphical motif, basically. Alright, this section of the level is really stupid. You have no idea what's going to happen if you drop down here. At least it's not something nasty like spikes, but you'll probably drop on an enemy if you don't know what's coming, so that's pretty stupid. Up here is an M-Tank, which has, like, there's absolutely no challenge to get this. So, I don't really understand a lot of the item placements in this game. It's kind of unfortunate that there's not any appropriate risk or reward for looking after these items. So up ahead here is one of the letters, except it's so badly placed that you'll 100% miss this on your first run. There is no way you'll get this just unless you're extremely lucky. You have to hug this wall and move left right there. It's a terrible placement. I don't know why they thought of putting it there. There definitely could have been a better place to put this. Some of the letters definitely feel like they were just slapped on in random places, like that one. Here's showing off gyro attack a little bit before the boss. It's the best weapon to take on the power musclers. Kills them in 4 hits, which is pretty good. And it's also the weakness of Crystal Man, which I don't understand why gyros would be good against crystals, but it might just be because it's really easy to hit him with this thing. Because he'll spend a lot of his time up in the air, and you can just aim it towards him. So Crystal Man's pattern, I didn't realize this until it was pointed out, but if you stay close to him, he'll never fire off the 4 big crystals. He'll just jump back and forth, firing this bullet. But if you're far enough away, like at the beginning of the battle, he'll fire off 4 crystals which bounce on the walls, and that's always fun to see. I'm glad that was incorporated into his weapon, which we'll be seeing in a second here. So Crystal Eye, like I said, you fire a big crystal and it splits into 3 of those small orbs you saw in the Crystal Man fight, and they'll bounce around and hurt enemies. A good weapon in theory, but the small crystals are often a lot of this game's weapons are just very weak, so they're difficult to use against enemies effectively. And that's the halfway point of the Robot Master stages. I think this will be a 4-parter, 4 stages now, 4 Robot Master stages in the second video, and then the 2 fortresses, and that'll wrap things up nicely. I hope you guys have enjoyed the first part of this look at Mega Man 5, kind of critically analyzing what's going on here, the weapons, the mechanics, the gameplay, the graphics, everything. And if you did, then stay tuned for next time. We'll be diving into the remaining 4 Robot Master stages, and then proceeding with the rest of the game from there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.